stand about this place. We, the memories, and shade our eyes because we dread to read June 17, 1884. Aged 21 years and 3 days. And all things have changed. And we, the memories, stand here for ourselves alone, for no eye marks us. Or would know why we are here. Your husband is dead. Your sister lives far away. And your father is bent with age, and he has forgotten you. He scarcely leaves the house anymore. No one remembers your lyric voice, your exquisite face, how you sang even on the morning you were stricken with piercing sweetness, with thrilling sorrow, before the advent of the child that died with you. It is all forgotten save by us, the memories who are forgotten by the world. All is changed save the river and the hill. Even though you're changed. Only the burning sun and the quiet stars remain the same. And we, the memories that stand here in awe. Our eyes closed with the weariness of tears. In immeasurable weariness.
Got enough people.
I was Willie Metcalf. They used to call me Dr. Myers because they said I looked like him. And he was my father, according to Jack McGuire. I lived in a livery stable. I slept side by side Roger Ballman's bulldog, and sometimes in a stall. I could crawl in between the legs of the wildest horses without getting kicked. We knew each other.
Horses and men are just alike.
On spring days, I tramped through the country to get the feeling of that which I sometimes lost, that I was not a separate thing from the earth. I used to lose myself, as if in sleep, by lying with eyes half open in the woods. I would talk with animals, even toads and snakes, anything that had an eye to look into. I once saw a stone in the sunshine, trying to turn into jelly. In April days in the cemetery, the dead people gathered all about me, like a congregation in silent prayer. I never knew whether I walked or the flowers grew within me. Now I know.
Horses and men are just alike. There was my stallion, Billy Lee, black as a cat, trim as a deer, with an eye of fire. Keen to start, he could hit the fastest speed of any race around Spoon River. Just as you'd think he couldn't lose with a lead of 50 yards or more. He'd rear himself, throwing the rider, falling back, tangled up, completely going to pieces. You see, he was the perfect fraud. He couldn't win, he couldn't work. He was too light to plough or haul with. No one wanted colts from him. When I tried to drive him, well, he ran away and killed me. I don't know why you're all standing here. Move along then.
There was a town that calling you for the singing. Right. I have studied many times the marble which was chiseled for me. A boat with a furled sail at rest in harbor. In truth, the picture's not my destination, but my life.
And I was not beloved by the villagers, but all because I spoke my mind and met those who transgressed against me with plain remonstrance, neither hiding nor nurturing, nor secret griefs or grudges.
I loved you, Spoon River! I tried to rise above you. I was ashamed of you. I despised you as a place of my origin, my nativity.
Love was offered me, and I shrank from its disillusionment.
But there in Rome, among the other artists, speaking Italian, speaking French, it seemed that I had lost all traces of my origin.
Sorrow knocked at my door, but I was afraid.
That act of the Spartan boy is greatly praised. With the wolf under his cloak, letting it devour him uncomplaining.
I was reaching all levels of art. It seemed like I was breathing the air that the masters breathe. I could see the world through their eyes.
It's braver, I think, to snatch the wolf forth and fight him in the open, even in the street amid the dust, clouds, and pain.
Mission called to me, but I dreaded the chances.
But people would come up to me and say, "What are you driving at, my friend? Sometimes the work looks like Apollo's. The other times Lincoln. There was no culture in Spoon River."
Yet all the while I hungered for meaning in my life. Now I know we must lift the sail and catch the winds of destiny wherever they drive the boat.
Tongue may be an unruly member, but silence poisons the soul. Break me who will, I am content.
But what should I do? But hold my peace, completely covered with western soil, except to aspire for a new life with all of Spoon River out of my soul!
To put meaning in one's life may end in madness, but life without meaning is a torture of restlessness and vague desire. As a boat longing for the sea, yet afraid.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Your red blossoms amid green leaves are drooping, beautiful geranium.
My last blossom might have bloomed on all sides, save for the bitter wind that stunted the petals on the side of me that you in the village could see.
You do not ask for water. You cannot speak. You do not need to speak. Everyone knows that you are dying of thirst.
Reverend Wiley advised me not to divorce him for the sake of the children.
Yet they do not bring water. They pass on saying the geranium wants water.
Judge Summers advised him the same. So we stuck it to the end of the path.
From the dust I raised my voice in protest. My flowering side you never saw.
And I, who had happiness to share, and longed to share your happiness. I who loved you, Spoon River.
But two of the children thought he was right. Two of the children thought I was right. And the two that sided with him blamed me. And the two that sided with me blamed him.
And craved your love, and craved your love, and craved your love, withered before your eyes, Spoon River.
Ye living ones are fools indeed, who do not know the ways of the wind and the unseen forces.
And they grieved for the one they sided with, and were torn with the guilt of judging, and tortured in soul because they could not admire equally him and me.
And the unseen forces that govern the processes of life.
Thirsting, voiceless from chasteness of soul to ask you for love. You who knew and saw me perish before you. Like this geranium which someone has planted over me.
Oh, maybe an
Left
unruly
tonight.
member, but silence.
Now, any gardener knows that plants grown in cellars or under stones are twisted and yellow and weak. And no mother would let her baby suck diseased milk from her breast. Yet preachers and judges advise the raising of souls where there is no sunlight, only twilight.
Put meaning in one's
No
life may
warmth,
end in madness.
only dampness and cold.
Life without meaning.
Preachers and judges.
Of restlessness and desire.
Fate has tied our lives together in a knot, as tight as a violin string.
I'm Minerva, the village poetess.
Butch Weldy. Dr. Myers. No other man, unless it was Doc Hill, did more for this town than I.
Who did that? Did that? By the yahoos of the street for my heavy body, my cockeye, and my rolling wall. And all the more when Butch Weldy captured me after a brutal hunt and left me to my fate with Dr. Myers. And I sank into death, growing numb from the feet up like one, stepping deeper and deeper into a stream of life. Will somebody go to the village newspaper and put into a book the verses I wrote? I thirsted so for love. I hungered so for life.
After I got religion and steadied down, they gave me a job in the canning works. And every morning, I had to fill the tank in the yard with gasoline and fed the blow fires to the sheds to heat the soldering irons. And I mounted a rickety ladder to do it. Carried buckets full of the stuff. And one morning, as I stood there pouring, the air grew still and seemed to heave. And I shot up as the tank exploded. And down I came with both legs broken and my eyes burned crisp as a couple of eggs. For someone left the blow fire going and something sucked the flame in the tank. The circuit judge said whoever did it was a fellow servant of mine. And so old Rhodes' son didn't have to pay me. And I sat on that witness stand, as blind as Jack the Fiddler, saying over and over, I didn't know him at all.
And all the weak, the halt, the improvident, and those who could not pay flocked to me. I was good-hearted, easy Dr. Myers. I was happy, healthy, and comfortable fortune. Blessed with a congenial mate, my children raised, all wedded, doing well in the world. And then, one night, Minerva, the poetess, came to me in her trouble, crying. I tried to help her out. She died. They indicted me. The newspapers disgraced me. My wife, she perished of a broken heart. And pneumonia finished me.
He protested his whole life long that the newspapers had lied about him villainously, that he had no fault in Minerva's fall, but only tried to help. So you see, in trying to help, as he called it. He broke the law, human and divine. Passers-by, an ancient admonition for you. If your ways would be the ways of peacefulness, if your paths would be the paths of peace, love God and follow His commandments.
Chautauqua!
He told me that all women should be helped into carriages and carried over ditches and taken to all the best places. I ain't never been helped into no carriage or carried over no mud or been to no fine places. And ain't I a woman?
Would have been as great as George Eliot before an untoward fate. But look at the photograph of me made by Pennywick. Chin resting on hand and deep-set eyes. Grey too and far-searching. But there was the old problem. Should it be celibacy, matrimony, or unchastity? Then John Slack, the rich druggist, wooed me, luring me with the promise of leisure for my novel, and I married him, giving birth to 8 children, and had no time to write. It was all over with me anyway when I ran the needle in my hand while washing the baby's things, and he died from lockjaw. An ironical death. Hear me, ambitious souls. Sex is the curse of life.
Look at me. Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man can head me. And ain't I a woman?
Nothing in life is alien to you. I was a penniless girl from summer who stepped from the morning train in Spoon River, and all the houses stood before me with closed doors and drawn shades. I was barred out. I had no place upon any of them. And I walked past the old McNeely mansion, a castle of stone amid walks and gardens, with workmen about the place on guard, upholding, keeping the place for its lordly owner, full of pride. I was so hungry. I had a vision. I saw from the sky a pair of scissors dip down like the beam of a dredge and cut that house in two like a curtain. But at the commercial, I saw a man wink at me as I asked for work. And it was Walt McNeely's son. He proved the link in the chain of title to half my ownership of that mansion through a breach of promise suit. So you see, that house, from the day I was born, was only waiting for me.
I could work as hard as any man and eat as much too, if I could get it, and bear the lashes well, and ain't I a woman?
Back and forth to and from the church with my Bible under my arm till I was gray and old. Unwedded, alone in the world, I found brothers and sisters in the congregation, children in the church. Oh, I know they laughed and thought me queer. I knew of the eagle souls that flew high in the sunlight above the spires of the church, laughing at the church, disdaining me, not seeing me. But if the sweet air was good to them, the sweet was the church to me. It was the vision of the poets, democratized.
I gave birth to 13 children. See, most of them sold off to slavery. And when I cried the grief of a mother's tears Who but Jesus heard me? And ain't I a woman?
I know he told that I snared his soul with a snare that bled him to death. And all of the men loved him, and most of the women pitied him. Now, suppose you are really a lady, and you have delicate tastes, and you loathe the smell of whiskey and onions. And the rhythms of Wordsworth's ode run in your ears, while he goes about from morning till night, repeating bits of that common thing. Oh, why should the spirit of the mortal be proud? And then suppose you're a woman, well endowed, and the only man with whom the law and morality permit you to have the marital relation is the very man that fills you with disgust every time you think of it, while you think of it, every time you see him. That's why I drove him away from home, to live with his dog in a dingy room back of his office.
I am Sojourner Truth, and ain't I a woman?
The sun whose rays are all ablaze with the living glory does not deny his majesty, his course to tell a story. He don't exclaim, I blush for shame, so can he be indulgent, but fierce and bold in fiery gold, he glories all effulgent. I mean to rule the earth as he the sky. We really know our worth, the sun and I mean to rule the earth as he the sky. We really know our worth, the sun and I. Observe this flame, that blessed name, the moon's celestial highness. There's not a trace upon her face of diffidence or shyness. She would us light that through the night men can behold acclaim her. And truth to tell, she lights up well as to her would not. But they may call this day, we are not sure. We're the sun and I. Oh, baby, call this day, we are not shy. We're very well awake the moon.
I'm Mrs. Williams. I was the milliner.
Oh,
Talked about and lied about Mother Dora, whose strange disappearance was charged to her rear end. My eye, quick to beauty, saw much beside ribbons and buckles and feathers and leghorns and felt to frame sweet faces and dark hair and gold. One thing I will tell you, and one I will ask. The stealers of husbands wear powder and trinkets and fashionable hats. Wives, wear yourselves. Hats may make divorces. They also prevent them. Well, now, let me ask you. If all the children born here in Spoon River had been reared by the county somewhere on the farm, and the fathers and mothers had been given the freedom to live and enjoy, change mates if they would, do you think Spoon River would have been any worse?
Over and over they ask me, while buying the wine over here, how I happen to lead the life. And I tell them, It was a silk dress and the promise of marriage from a rich man. It was Lucius Atherton. But that wasn't really it at all. Suppose a boy steals an apple from the tray at the grocery store. And wherever he goes, they all start to call him Thief. The editor, the minister, the judge. A thief, a thief, a thief, wherever he goes. And he can't get work. And he can't get bread without stealing. Why, the boy will steal. It's the way that people regard the theft of the apple that make the boy what he is.
Oh, I think we should get
Oh, my goodness, just want to get some.
No, come on, please, please, right there.
Was an odd happening. He stood on the corner talking about he sat at home and he managed that. While I supported the family by washing and learning the secrets of all the people, from their curtains, counterpanes, shirts, socks, scrolls. Things that are new grow old. They replace for better or not at all. People always promise
The minister and judge.
No thread or needle can paste a paper. And there are stains that baffle soap and colors that run in spite of. Lame as though you are for spoiling a dress. Handkerchiefs and dowry have their secrets.
And a man, while selling his boat, should get enough from the
Knows all about it. And I, who attended all the funerals, held in Spring River, swear I never saw a dead face without thinking it looked like someone washed him out.
My name's Lillian Stewart. I was the daughter of Lambert Hutchins, born in a cottage near the grist mill, reared in the mansion there on the hill with its spires and bay windows and rufous slate. How proud my mother was of that mansion. How proud of Father's rise in the world and how he loved us and watched us and guarded our happiness. But I believe that house was a curse. For Father's fortune was little beside it. And when my husband found out, he had married a girl who was a whore. Well, he taunted me with the spires, and he called the house a fraud on the world. A treacherous lure to young men, raising hopes of a dowry not to be had. And a man, while selling his boat, should get enough from the betrayal of the people to wall the whole of his family in. He vexed my life until I went back home and lived like an old maid and died keeping house for Father. I've got work to do, excuse me.
Stop! Let me tell you about Aner Kloot. Often, at the gate, Aner Kloot refused me the parting kiss, saying we should be engaged before that. And just with a distant clasp of the hand, she bade me good night as I brought her home from the skating rink or the revival. But no sooner did my departing footsteps die away than Lucius Atherton, so I learned when Aner went to Peoria, stole in at her window or took her riding behind his spanking team of bays out into the country. The shock of it made me settle down and took all the money I got from my father's estate and put into the canning factory to get the job of head accountant. And I lost it all. And then I knew that I was one of life's fools, whom only death would treat us the equal of other men, making me feel like a man.
She might prove her mortality and let me out, or she might divorce me. But few died, none resigned. Then I ran away, was gone a year on a lark.
He ran away and was gone for a year.
But she never complained. She just said all would be well, that I would return. And I did return.
He told me some silly story about being captured by pirates on Lake Michigan and kept in chains.
I told her that while taking a row on a boat, I had been captured in Van Street by pirates on Lake Michigan and kept in chains so I could not write her. She cried and kissed me, said it was cruel, outrageous, inhumane.
I pretended to believe him, but I really didn't because I knew where he was, that he was in town with Mrs. Williams, the milliner, when she went to buy goods, or so she said.
I then concluded our marriage.
A promise is a promise.
It's a divine dispensation.
And a marriage is a marriage. And I refuse to be degraded by the idea of divorce from a man who had merely grown weary of his marital bound duty.
Our marriage was a divine dispensation that could not be dissolved except by death. And I was right.
One night we changed partners driving home in the moonlight in middle June. And then I found Davis. We were married and lived together for 70 years. Enjoying, working, raising the 12 children, 8 of whom had passed ere I reached the age of 60. I spun, I wove, I kept the house, I nursed the sick, and I made the garden. For holiday, I would ramble over the fields where sang the larks. And at Spoon River, I gathered many a shell, many a flower, and medicinal weed. I shouted to the wooded hills, and I sang to the green valleys. At 96, I'd lived enough. That is all. Passed on to a sweet repose. But what is this I hear of your sorrow, your weariness, your anger, your discontent, your drooping hopes? Degenerate sons and daughters, life is too strong for you. It takes life to love life.
I started on to darkness. There was a hazy sky with a few stars, which I followed as best I could. It was 9 o'clock. I was trying to get home, but somehow I was lost to really keeping the Lord. Then I reeled to a gate and into a yard and shouted at the top of my voice, "Oh, Fila! Oh, Mr. Jones!" I thought it was his house. He would show me the way home. But who would step out but A.D. Blood in his nightshirt, waving a stick of wood, full roaring about the constant saloons of the criminals they make. Drunk in Oklahoma, he said. I stood there, heaving to and fro, taking some clothes from the stick in his hand. I walked down dead at his feet.
So don't you mind people grinning in your face. You know they'll jump you up and down, turn you round and round. As soon as your back is turned, they'll be trying to crush you down. So bear this in mind, a true friend is hard to find. So don't you mind people grinning in your face. Oh, show me the man who never done wrong, whatever it's on his face. But stay at home by his wife to rock with your baby to sleep. Sing highly holy body, rocking the baby. Sing highly holy body, your mama will come by and by. I'll show you the man who never went wrong, forever in town on the street. But stay at home by his beautiful wife to rock with your baby to sleep. Sing highly holy body, rocking the baby and tossing him high. Sing highly holy body, your mom will come by and cry. Oh, show me the man who never done wrong, on a street.
I was only 8 years old before I grew up and knew what it meant. I had no words for it except that I was frightened, and I told my mother, and my father got a pistol and was going to kill Charlie, who was a big boy, 15 years old, except for his mother. Nevertheless, the story clung to me. But the man who married me, a widower of 35, was a newcomer and never heard it till 2 years after we were married, and then he considered himself cheated. And the whole village agreed that I was not really a virgin. Well, he deserted me, and I died the following winter. We quarreled that morning, for he was 65 and I was 30, and I was nervous and heavy with the child whose birth I dreaded. I thought over the last letter written me by that young, estranged soul whose betrayal of me I had concealed by marrying the old man. Then I took morphine and sat down to read. Across the blackness that came over my eyes, I see the flickering lights of these words, still now. And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, today thou shalt be with me in paradise.
Rocking his baby, tossing him high, sing high.
Henry got me with child, knowing that I could not bring forth life without losing my own. In my youth, therefore, I entered the portals of death. Traveler, it is believed in the village where I live that Henry loved me with a husband's love. But I proclaim from the dust that he slew me to gratify his hatred.
I win my bird. Though he flew toward the setting sun. But just as the shot rang out, he soared up and up through the splinters of golden light. He turned right over, feathers ruffled, with some of the down of him floating near, and fell like a plummet into the grass. I tramped about, heart in the tangles. I saw a splash of blood on the stump, and the quail lying close to the rotten roots. I reached my hand, but saw no briar. Something pricked, stung it, and numbed it. In a second, I spied the rattler. Shut as wide in his yellow eyes. The head of him marched, sunk back into rings in him. Circle of fifth. Color of ashes, were openly bleached on the layer of his leaves, and I stood there like a stone. As he shrank in uncoiled, he started to crawl beneath the stump. When I fell into the grass.
Why was I not devoured by self-contempt and rotted down by indifference and impotent revolt like Indignation Jones? Why, with all my errant steps, did I miss the fate of Willard Fluke? And why, though I stood at Bertrad's bar as a sort of decoy for the house of the boys to buy the drinks, did the curse of drink fall on me, like rain that runs off, leaving the soul of me dry and clean? And why did I not kill a man like Jack McGuire? But instead, I mounted a little in life, and I owe it all to a book I read. But why did I go to Mason City, where I chanced to see that book in a window with its garish cover luring my eye? And why did my soul respond to that book as I read it over and over?
It was the moonlight, and the earth sparkled with new fallen frost. It was midnight, and no one was abroad. Out of the chimney of a courthouse, the greyhound and smoke left and chased the northwest wind. Ooh, I carried it out over to the landing of the stairwell and leaned it up against the trap door in the ceiling of the portico. And I climbed up under the roof and amid the rafters. And into the well-seasoned timbers, I flung a live handful of oil-soaked waste. And I climbed down and slunk away. And in a little while, the fire bell rang. Clang! 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 And the smoke river ladder come to kill him. Well, returned from Joliet, they built a new courthouse with a dome, for I was punished, like all those who destroy the past for the sake of the future.
Preachers ain't.
But rich Aunt Persis wouldn't help me. But this was true. I was bound to weep for him as well. Who couldn't margin the deal in his name because of his church relationship. So I made gardens and raked the lawns and bought John Alden's books with my earnings. And toiled for the very means of life. And while George Reese was serving his term, I chased the will-o-wisp of women, mockery wine in New York. It's deadly to sicken of wine and women. There's nothing else left in life. I wanted to marry Delia.
Well, after last child, the parents were aged 30.
How can I do it with what I earned? Well, suppose your head is gray, bound on the table, covered with agar stubs and cigarettes and empty glasses, and a knock. And there was Aunt Persis, more than 70, who sat in her chair half alive. And you know, it's the knock so long drowned out by popping corks and peacock strings and temperance. With her throat so paralyzed when she swallowed, the soup ran out of her mouth like a duck. A gourmand, yet investing her income in mortgages, fretting all the time about her notes and rents and papers. And you look up, and there's your thing. That day I was sawing wood for her. Waiting until your head was gray. And reading Proudhon in between. And hard to skip beats to say to you, the game is ended, I've called for you. I went into the house for a glass of water. And there she sat, asleep in her chair. Go out on Broadway and be run over. They'll ship you back to Smith River. And Proudhon lying beside her on the table. And a bottle of chloroform on top of the book. I took the chloroform and poured it on a handkerchief and held it to her nose till she died. Oh, Delia, Delia, you and Proudhon steadied my hand. And the coroner said she died of heart failure. Go out on Broadway and be run over. They'll ship you back to Spoon River. I married Delia and got the money. A joke on you, Spoon River? And that was the happiest day.
When I died, the circulating library, which I built up for Spoon River and managed for the good of the inquiring minds, was sold at auction in the public square. This is to destroy the last vestige of my memory and influence. For those of you who cannot understand the virtue of Noah Volney's ruins, as well as Butler's Analogy and Faust, as well as Evangeline, were really the power in the village. Often you'd ask me, what is the use of knowing the evil in the world? Model your way down, Spoon River. Choose your own good and call it good. For I can never make you see. No one knows what is good, who knows not what is evil. No one knows what is false, who knows not what is true.
That's right.
Where is my boy? My boy. What part of this far world? The boy I loved the best in all the school. I, the teacher, the old maid, the virgin heart who made them all my children. Did I know you were right, my boy? Thinking of you as spirit, aflame, active, ever aspiring. Oh, boy, boy for whom I prayed and prayed in many a watchful hour of the night.
Well, Emily Sparks, your prayers are not wasted. Your love was not all in vain. And I owe whatever I was in life to your hope that would not give me up, to your love that saw me still as good.
Do you remember the letter that I wrote to you of the beautiful love of Christ.
Dear Emily Sparks, let me tell you the story. I passed the effect of my father and mother. The milliner's daughter made me trouble, and out I went into the world, where I passed through every peril known of wine and women and the joy of life. Well, one night, in a room in the Rue de Rivoli, I was drinking wine with a black-eyed cocotte, and tears swam into my eyes. And she thought they were amorous tears and smiled for thought of her conquest over me. But my soul was 3,000 miles away. In the days when you taught me in Spoon River.
Wherever you are, my boy, work for your soul's sake. That all the clay of you, all the dross of you should yield to the fire of you, till the fire is nothing but light. Nothing but light.
And just because you can no more love me, nor pray for me, nor write me letters, the eternal silence of you spoke instead. And that black-eyed cocotte took the tears for hers, as well as the deceiving kisses that I gave her. And somehow, from that moment, I had a new vision. Dear Emily Sparks.
And I met old Patrick Hammer on the boat. Returning after having sold the shipload of a cattle in the German city, Hamburg. He brought me to Spoon River. And we lived here for 20 years. They thought we were married. This oak tree near me is the favorite haunt of the blue jays. Chattering all the time. And why not? For my very dust is laughing for thinking of humorous thing called life.
I wrote him a letter asking him for old time's sake to discharge my sick boy from the army. But maybe he couldn't read it. So I went to town and I had James Garber, who wrote beautifully, to write him a letter. But maybe that was lost in the mails. So I traveled all the way to Washington. I was almost an hour finding the White House, and when I found it, they turned me away, hiding their smiles. And I thought, oh, well, he ain't the same as when he boarded from me, and he worked with my husband, and we all called him Abe back in Menard. As a last attempt, I turned to the guard and said, please say it's old Aunt Hannah Armstrong from Illinois come to see him about her sick boy in the army. Well, in a minute, they let me in, and when he saw me, he broke in a laugh and dropped his business as president. And in his own hand, he wrote Doug's discharge, talking all the while of early times and telling stories.